students, in this lecture, I will discuss about network types first. So, we have defined networks in the previous section and we have discussed their physical structures. Now, we need to discuss different types of networks that are encountered in the world today. The criteria for distinguishing one type of network from another is difficult and even it is confusing sometimes. But a few criteria will be used, such as size, geographical coverage, and ownership, to make this distinguish. The two types of networks, LANs and WANs, will be discussed. After that, we define switching, which is used to connect networks to form an internetwork, a network of networks. Okay, so this is included. Now I'll start with the different types of networks. Okay, there are two types of networks: local area networks and wide area networks. Okay, first we will discuss about local area network. In short, we represent it as LN. A LN is usually privately owned and connects some hosts in a single office building or campus. Then a LAN can be as simple as two PCs and a printer in someone's home office, which depending on the needs of an organization. Or it can extend throughout a company and include audio and video devices. In a LAN, each host has an identifier, an address that uniquely defines the host in the LAN. So, a packet that is sent by host to another host will carry both source host and destination host addresses. Okay, destination host addresses. In the past, in a network, all hosts were connected through a common cable, which meant that a packet sent from one host to another was received by all hosts. Then, who was the intended receiver only kept that packet, whereas the uh, other host dropped that packet. Today, most LANs use a smart connecting switch which is able to recognize the destination address of the packet and guide the packet to its destination without sending it to all other hosts. The switch that will be used elevates the traffic in the LAN and allows more than one pair to communicate with each other at the same time if there is no common source and destination among them. This one thing to note is that whatever is the definition of LAN as said does not define the minimum or maximum number of hosts in a LAN. So now we have here two figures. The figures are representing a LAN which is using either a common cable or a switch. So you can see a figure A, this one, a LAN with a common cable. You can see figure B, LAN with a switch. So you can see here the switch. Here you can see the common cable. Okay, common cable. So this was in the past and today we have this LAN with a switch. Okay. Then when LANs were used in isolation, but today it is very rare. They were designed to allow resources to be shared between the host. Then later, shortly we are going to have LANs today are connected to each other and to WANs to create communication at a wider level. So next we'll see about wide area networks WAN. A wide area network WAN is also an interconnection of devices capable of communication. But there are some differences between a LAN and a WAN, however. A LAN is normally limited in size, okay? Normally limited in size, spanning an office, a building, or a campus. A WAN has a wider geographical span, spanning a town, a state, a country, or even the world. A LAN interconnects host, whereas a WAN interconnects connecting devices such as switches, routers, or modems. A LAN is normally privately owned by the organization that uses it, whereas a WAN is normally created and run by communication companies and leased by an organization that uses it. So, we are going to have two distinct examples of WAN today. Okay, one is point to point WAN, another is switched WAN. First, we'll see point to point WAN. You can see the diagram of point to point WAN. Okay, a point to point WAN is a network that connects two communicating devices through a transmission media, which may be cable or air. Okay, is it clear? So this diagram shows the example of a point to point WAN. Okay. Is it clear? So I was telling is a point to point WAN is a network that connects two communicating devices through a transmission media, which may be cable or air. So it is also an interconnection of devices capable of communication. So this diagram represents the point to point WAN. So you can see to another network, here is to another network, then the transmission media is either cable or air. Okay, this is the connecting medium, this is a connecting device. Okay, next we'll see about switched WANs. A switched WAN is a network with more than two ends. Okay, a switched WAN is used in the backbone of global communication today. If we see switched WAN, it is a combination of several point-to-point WANs that are connected by switches. So this example shows the switched WAN. You can see this is a switch symbol. So you can see the point-to-point WANs are connected by switches. So this is one network, this is one network, they are connected by switches. This is one network, this is one network connected by switches. So this is also a switch connecting these two networks. Okay, this is a switch connecting these two networks. Okay, so combination of several point-to-point WANs that are connected by switches. Next, we'll see about the difference between LAN versus WAN, as already I have told this. Okay, LAN versus WAN. So again, I'll repeat what is LAN. I have told is normally limited in size, spanning an office, a building, or a campus. Whereas a WAN has a wide geographical span, spanning a town, a state, a country, or even the world. A LAN interconnects host. A WAN interconnects connecting devices such as switches, routers, or modems. A LAN is normally privately owned by the organization that uses it. A WAN is normally created and run by communication companies and leased by an organization that uses it. Okay. So we'll discuss about inter-network. It is very rare to see a LAN or a WAN in isolation today. they are connected to one another. So when two or more networks are connected, they make an internetwork, or we can call it as internet. We'll take an example, and the specified example is: assume that an organization has two offices, one at the east coast and another on the west coast. Each office has a LAN that allows all employees in the office to communicate with each other. To make the communication between employees at different offices possible, the management leases a point to point dedicated WAN from a service provider, such as a telephone company, and connects the two LANs. Then that company now has an internetwork or a private internet, which will be represented with lowercase I. Communication between two offices is now possible. So this figure will be showing an internetwork made of two LANs and one point to point WAN. So this figure is showing this internet. Okay, this internet. So you can see, when a host in West Coast office sends a message to another host in the same office, the router blocks the message, but the switch directs the message to the destination. On the other hand, when a host on the West Coast sends a message to a host on the East Coast, this side, okay, the router R1, here is a router R1, routes the packet to router R2, and the packet reaches the destination. Okay, so here we can see router, which routes the packet to router, and the packet reaches the destination. Okay, that is clear. So we are going to have one more figure which shows another internet with several LANs and WANs connected. So you can see this is one more figure with several LANs and WANs connected. One of the WANs is a switched WAN with 4 switches. So you can see one of the WANs is a switched WAN with 4 switches. So you can see this is a switched WAN with 4 switches. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 switches in a switched WAN. Okay, switched WAN. So next so this is called as a heterogeneous network made of 4 WANs and 3 LANs. Next we'll discuss about switching. Okay, switching. And first we'll see what is an internet. An internet is a switched network in which a switch connects at least two links together. Then a switch needs to forward data from a network to another network when required. The two most common types of switched networks are circuit switched and packet switched network. So we are going to discuss both circuit switched and packet switched networks. First we'll discuss about circuit switched network. So in case of a circuit switched network, there is a dedicated connection called a circuit, and it is always available between the two end system. The switch can only make it active or inactive. So this is the figure that is showing a very simple switched network that connects 4 telephone lines to each end. So here there are 4 telephone lines at this end connected to a switch. This switch is connecting 4 telephone lines at other end. So in telephone sets have been used instead of computers as an end system because this circuit switching was very common in telephone networks in the past. Although part of the telephone network today is a packet switched network. So in this figure we can see the 4 telephones at each side are connected to a switch. The switch connects a telephone set at one end to a telephone set at the other end. Then there can be two types of connecting lines, the thick line and the thin line. Okay, the thick line, you can see this is a thick line. The thick line connecting two switches is a high capacity communication line that can handle four voice communications at the same time. The capacity can be shared between all pairs of telephone sets. So whatever are switches used in this particular example have forwarding task but no storing capability. Okay, so we'll take the two cases. In the first case, all telephone sets are busy. Four people at one side are talking with four people at other side. So the capacity of thick line is fully used. Whereas in second case, only one telephone set at one side is connected to a telephone set at the other side. Only 1/4 of the capacity of thick line is used. So what does this mean is that a circuit switched network is efficient only when it is working at its fullest capacity most of the time, but it is inefficient because it is working at partial capacity. Okay, so this the reason why we need to make the capacity of thick line 4 times the capacity of each voice line is that we do not want communication to fail when all telephone sets at one side want to be connected with all telephone sets at the other side. Okay, so you can see here in the diagram low capacity line, high. Next we'll see about packet switch network. So the communication between the two ends is done in blocks of data called packets in a computer network. So we can have it in another words as instead of the continuous communication we see between two telephone sets when they are being used, we see the exchange of individual data packets between the two computers. So you can see here the packets, okay, between the two computers. So this allows us to make the switches function for both storing and forwarding. Why? Because a packet is an independent entity that can be stored and later sent later. So there is a router in a packet switch network has a queue that can store and forward the packet. Okay, you can see this router has a queue. You can see the queue here that can store and forward the packet. Okay, is it clear? So this is showing this figure a small packet switch network that connects four computers. So you can see these are the four computers at one side to four computers at other side. Okay, now what I told about router in a packet switch network has a queue that can store and forward the packet. We'll assume that the capacity of the thick line is only twice the capacity of the data line connecting the computers to the routers. If only two computers need to communicate with each other, there is no waiting for the packets because packet at one side will immediately reach router and it will reach the router at other end and it will reach the destination computer. But however, if packets arrive at one router, then the thick line is already working at its fullest capacity, then there is a need to store the packets and forward it in the order they arrived. So the two simple example here which are shown a packet switched network is more efficient than a circuit switched network. So packet switched network is more efficient than a circuit switched network with these two examples. Okay, examples, but the problem is the packets may delays encounter delays. So next we'll see about internet. So an internet, in lowercase it is I, is two or more networks that can communicate with each other. Then uppercase I, which is the most notable internet, is called internet, and it is composed of thousands of interconnected networks. So we are going to have a figure that shows a conceptual view of the internet which is not geographical. Okay, I'll show the figure later. The figure is going to show that the internet has several backbones. You can see several backbones, provider networks, and customer networks. At the top level, the backbones are large networks owned by some communication companies such as Sprint, Verizon, MSCI, AT&T, and NTT. The backbone networks are connected through some complex switching system called peering points. So these are peering points, which are complex switching systems, and they are used to connect the backbone networks. Then this is at the top level. At the second level, there are small networks, so-called provider networks, that use the services of the backbone for a fee. You can see provider network. These are provider networks that use the services of the backbone for a fee, and they are at second level, which are smaller network. The provider networks are connected to backbones. So you can see these provider networks are connected to backbones. Connected to backbones. Okay. And sometimes to other provider networks also. And sometimes to other the customer networks are networks at the edge of the internet that will actually use the services provided by the internet. So these are the customer networks which are at the edge of internet. They actually use the services provided by the internet. They pay fees to provider networks for receiving services. Backbones backbones and provider networks are also called internet service providers. So is it clear? Backbones and provider networks are also called internet service providers. In short, we call it as ISPIs. Okay, ISPIs. You can see here, ISPI. Okay. The backbones are often referred to as international ISPs. The provider networks are often referred to as national or regional ISPs. So I'll stop here. You go through this. Next, I'll continue.